Welcome back to the MK10 YouTube channel, where today we're going to continue with our coverage of the VLRC Racing League, where at the moment we are just doing our fastest flying lap of the Canadian Grand Prix. We went into this weekend with very minimal practice. As you can tell, we are on lap 6 at the moment of qualifying. This is because I made sure we overthrew, so we went on one flying lap at the beginning, and then we used the recharging laps to get battery back and also get familiar with the track and where track limits were and stuff like that. But as you see, we are already halfway through this lap. We are already a second up on our previous flying lap. These tyres are newer tyres, so that's why we are a lot faster. I knew I was kind of quick around here because I knew quite a few people were going to have a more conservative setup. I have more of a dry setup compared to their intermediate wet setups. So as you can tell, we're not the fastest on the grid from a mile off. We do end up finishing in 4th. Once we finished that flying lap, we finished in 3rd, but then Motor John Boy came right back. And as you can see here, Mystical on the medium sets a blistering time. I think he tried to beat that on the soft, so even he was having difficulty with the track limits. But with that, we start 4th. We're in the mid pack. There wasn't many people in this Grand Prix, so it was half points for this week, which is a disappointment. Obviously, you want to get as many points as possible, but it is what it is. You just do the race. As you see, we get a very good park compared to last week's race. We have a very good park. And normally we do have a 3-minute break between qualifying and the race, but someone readied up and luckily everyone's ready to go, so luckily for them they didn't get kicked from the race. So then we still had the 9 people, because if you're ready up, the rule is if you're ready up before the 3 minutes is over, you automatically get kicked from the race, because it's not unsportsmanship, because so half the people can be away from the computer, or away from the console, I should say. As you see here, we get a blistering start. We take Missile, we take Pointed Moo, and Motor John Boy, we get straight in there and straight past him. It was a brilliant start by us. It looked like we dive bombed on him, but by the time we got to the apex of the corner, well, the entry of the corner, I should say, we were alongside him enough to be that it counted as our corner. To be honest with you, we should have really put the softs on. The hards was not the play here. We should have put the softs on, but obviously when we go into this race weekend, we did not know the strategy properly, because it was dry to wet to dry, and to me, I thought it was going to be dried into to dry. But here's another look at that start. Now, as you see, we have a very good reaction time compared to Pointed Moo. As you see, as soon as we get to the apex, mine and Multiple and John Boy's tires hit. They hit each other, and then luckily it did not cause anything, so it was okay. We come back now at the end of this safety car period, so no one pitted. Obviously there was no point for anyone to pit. It was literally the first lap of the race. It was literally no point to pit, so I'm just obviously becoming the safety car at this point, back in the field, because I don't have much experience at actually setting off from a safety car. This is uncharted territory for me, so I'm trying to get a gauge the right point to go. Unluckily, we do exceed track limits there, which I didn't want to do earlier. I knew it was going to be a lot of track limits and penalties at this race, because the Wall of Champions chicane is difficult. But we get a good start, even pulling a 100th seconds on Motor John, who's on the softs, and he is a very strong racer. So we're still ahead. We're trying to basically become Channel Inner Alonso, trying to become that train conductor. Using as much battery as we can. I don't want to use too much, because if you use too much air, it would have been game over. Once John Boy does get past us, I knew he was going to get past us. I just trying to make it as late as possible because I didn't know when we was going to change into inters or if we were going to stay in the hards until the full wets. As you see here, we didn't get the best exit to this corner. We were able to use battery to our advantage because, like I said, we do have a setup that helps us in the straights compared to others. You'll see later on in the video what I mean. Once again, we get track limits. Most of our track limits do actually come from when people pass us or us passing people. Like we slightly off the circuit. Like very, very slightly. It's not like we were completely off, it was very, very slight. And one thing like I said, I was trying to keep that to a minimum. A lot easier to say than do. As you can see on the screen at the moment, we are getting droplets of rain. And they're coming down quite fast, so we don't like... I didn't know when we was going to pay for the inters. I knew it was going to be soon, but I didn't want it to be too soon. This is what I mean about the hards were not the right tires to be on. The softs were the perfect choice. Mediums probably would have been the best. Obviously, going into this weekend, we don't know. Here, me and Balloon had an excellent racing weekend this week, where we was completely just defending against each other. As I said, I was channeling my inner Alonso. He was trying to get past me a lot. It was a lot of him trying to get past me and I using my straight line speed as you see here. We go straight in the pits to go and get some inters on. To be honest, we should have stayed out a bit longer. Luckily for us, quite a like half the, no, not even half, like majority of the grid goes in for the inters. There's only 2 drivers that stay out. It was quite well worked out for us that we did that, because if we didn't and continue staying out, it maybe we'll still finish the high. You never know. The strategy is massive, especially when in a weekend like this. Another thing I need to point out is what you can see here. Some corners I'm very conservative going into, because I noticed while I was doing the qualifying, like my qualifying / practice, that they are very likely track limits on, and also how my setup was. I was on, as I said, very predominantly dry setup. Like my wings were very low, like a lot lower than other drivers. As you would have heard in the stream, the link will be down in the description of the VLRC stream. And as you see, there's another safety car. I can't remember what the safety car was for, but it was helped Motor John by a lot. Pino does not actually pit, which goes against them, as you can see here as we jump to the end of that safety car. So we join at the end of pit lap 9. We had the back of Motor John by, like, caught up a bit obviously with the VLC. We go for the move. It's very tight angle. We don't make it work. We actually spin out a little bit and make contact with Motor John by, which, to be honest, very lucky he did not spin out, because that would have been 100% our fault. We would have got some points, so time penalty at the end of the race by the FIA. And with me losing the position, well, not losing position, sorry, losing time to Motor John by, that allowed Balloon to catch up to me. And with that, he does make a move, and that move was perfectly legal. I had no qualms with it in the race. I tried, as you can see here, I tried to go right back at him, which I'm able to use my setup to get alongside him halfway down that straight and scoot past him. Lucky I was able to keep it on the road. Here, Matt was going for a move on the outside. I don't know what happened to his braking. I think it's just his tyres weren't warm enough or something. But with that, he does lose 2 positions at the same time. We're able to keep moving. We jump here to the lap 16, where we're onto the full wets now. This is what I mean. It wasn't that long after we had to, all of us had to pay for full wets. Malou get past us here. and it hits us into the wall. But the reason why I didn't bring this to the attention of the FIA, because it's one of them where it is clearly a lot faster than me here in this section. Now, that section I completely ruined myself going into, and by the looks of it, it looks like I don't see him until he's past me, and I'm already turning. And my front wheel connects with his back wheel and shoots off. I was looking not to lose too much time and get too much wing damage. I got just a minimal damage to my end plane, which to the rules of this racing league that I'm in, if you get damage to your wing, if it's minimal end play damage, then you can continue if you can keep the car under control, which as you can clearly see here, I can. I'm going for a move on Malone here. I just don't get it turned in time, which is not the wing's fault, it's my setup's fault. And I would make the argument here as well. By the time we get to not even the apex of the corner, through the entrance of the corner, my front wheel is alongside, like more than halfway alongside his car, so I'm able to claim that corner as mine. I couldn't get it turned because I was still braking as I was going for the turn. So that either way, that would have been 100% my fault, and I hold my hands up to that. But as you see, he gets past anyway, so either way, it doesn't matter. He still retains his position, I retain my position. And going into that corner, I go really deep. As I say again, that's because of my setup, not because of my wing. As I was saying before, if you get damage to your wing with like end play damage, you can keep the car under control, then you can continue going. But if your front wing is completely gone, you have to pit on the next available lap. So example here, if I get damage at the end of this hairpin and my front wing is completely gone, then I have to pit at the end of the straight. Unless obviously there's a car in a way or something like that, then that's perfectly understandable. But here again, you see my wing and my setup is helping me get away from Mystical and Matt after I do invite their advances after the incident with Malone, and Malone does actually profit from this and get ahead. It's a sticky one, because I knew I was fast in sector 2 and 3, just sector 1 they were completely more dominant, like all over me. I had to make sure I save my battery for the right periods of the track and attack at the right time. As you see here, I have 6 seconds of penalty, Mystical has 6 seconds of penalty, so is Matt. Here, this incident here, I believe this was lap 27, there was a lot of just back and forth racing, like in the no man's land. But you see here, I squeeze Matt, I get very, very aggressive, I squeeze Matt, and he loses his front wing here. I shouldn't have squeezed him, but because of our push race, I do get a 10-second penalty, which is 100% my fault. I hold my hands up. I'm not contesting that, and I would lose if you never do contest it. We join back again on lap 32. I make a smooth move on Wacko Jacko. You can see here the track's drying up. We're going pitted for softs. I'm going for fastest lap. That's my aim here. And around the outside, I don't know what Wacko Jacko was doing there. Like, I'm on the outside here. My fault. I do leave it open for him to attack again, but he doesn't give me enough room. So he forces me into the wall, which I do get more end play damage on the other side of my wing, but then he forces himself into me and whacks himself off into Matt, which completely fucks Matt's wing up. And that was like the end of like anything that was interesting in the race happening. Like, there was no more overtakes. As you can see, Wacko does concede the position to Matt. We all finish on similar time penalties. Malone actually goes on and wins the race. Well done to him, he well deserved it. As I said, I finished 4th in the race, but I do get a 10-second penalty afterwards, which ends up putting me in 5th position because Matt also gets a 5-second penalty, which moves him a bit down as well. So because of that, I just concede a position, so I'm not too mad about getting a 10-second penalty because it was my fault as well. I just didn't know that the FIA ticket was put into place. But Jeddah is next week, so fingers crossed we get a very good result there. I'm not hoping for one because I'm not very good at that track, but we have to wait and see. And all welcome to watch the next video, and there'll be other videos up just like this back at the range.